I'm going to be sharing my buttermilk homemade biscuit recipe, and this is for Frank. First of all, you need a good quality self-rising flour. I use either King Arthur unbleached self-rising flour or White Lily unbleached self-rising flour. And you want to, when you put it in, I put mine in a container like this whenever I dump it out. You want to take your fork, take a fork and just fluff it like that. I know that might sound weird, but it keeps your flour from being so dense even though you are measuring it. Okay, you want to measure 4 cups of self-rising flour. You don't want to pack it or shake it. You just want to level it off with your knife like that. There we go.
And you're putting that in your sifter.
In the sifter, yes. I'm sorry. It's in the sifter. Then I'm going to put, this is baking soda, even though it's not in a baking soda box. I keep it in a glass jar to keep it fresh longer. And this is a ½ a teaspoon, and measure that off with your knife. Make your measurements precise. Then we're going to sift that together. Then we're going to add a ½ a cup of a good vegetable shortening. I'm using Crisco. You want to have your measures. Be sure it's down in your cup good. Mash it with your knife so you know you've not got no air pockets in there. And then even it off with your knife on top. Make your measurements precise. Then you're going to take, you can use pastry blenders. This is too nice, but because of dexterity in my hands, I can't do that, so I use my fingers. They are clean. And just break it up with your fingers. If you prefer to wear gloves and not touch it, of course, get you some good gloves that's suitable for baking and get them so that they fit your hands tight. But always be very clean. I don't have long fingernails, so there's not no and just keep doing it like that with your hands and work it in until it's about kind of pea-sized. You know, I don't know whether you call it. But that's the way you want it to look. Then I'm going to take 2 cups of whole buttermilk. Always when you're going, I've already got mine measured, but whenever you're going to measure buttermilk, always shake it really, really good, because buttermilk, whenever it sets, will the thickness will go to the bottom, so you always want to shake it real good before you measure it. Pour all of that in. And then you want to stir. Don't beat it, just kind of stir it, just kind of fold it in, because you don't want to work it any more than you have to. Till it gets so it's not sticky. And if you'll see how the flour will get down in the bottom of your bowl, so just put it over like that and work that flour out of the bottom of your bowl and just kind of turn it over instead of stirring it to get it mixed good. That looks good. Then you're going to take your sifter and you're going to put some flour on your cabinet. you're going to dump that out. Then you want to take your hands, get flour on your hands, and you're going to be using the side of your hands, not digging your fingers in, and you're just going to scrape it up like that with the sides of your hand, the back of your hand, not sticking your fingers in. I got some glued on my finger there. And just use your hands and just kind of get the flour and turn it over on it like that, and just work it. Just try not to do it anymore. Don't mash it, but you have to just push it down just a little bit to kind of get it so it's going to work into a ball. Not using no more flour than you have to. Just keep it so that your hands is not getting all sticky in it. Okay. And even whenever it starts looking like that, see how that looks? Then just take it like that and roll it over, roll it over, roll it over, and get those loose things like that down there. And after you've done it for a while, it'll just be easy. Just don't. And then you want, some people use a rolling pin. I use my hands and mash it. And you want to mash it out, and you want to leave it so it's at least an inch thick. Push your sides in like that so that so you don't have no thin sides. But about an inch, and even if you have to get a measuring stick and look at it, you want them about an inch thick. Then you want to get your baking pan, and I have already greased it, but you can see you want to grease it heavy so that your biscuits will be crispy on the bottom. That makes them better if you'll grease it heavy. Then you want to take your biscuit cutter. This is a big biscuit cutter, and this is a little biscuit cutter. This is a pineapple can, and this is I think a mushroom can. But anyway, I mean, I've had them forever. And you want to dip them in the flour. Be sure that they're floured good, and you want to cut it. Start at your edge and cut it like that, and wheel it around. Okay, dip it in the flour again, and kind of work it so they don't have to be, if you want them perfectly round, you can make them perfectly round. I just try to get as many as I can out of the one batch, so you don't have so many scraps. Okay, I'm going to get one right there.
And Nanny, you've already preheated your oven.
I did, I'm sorry, to 475 degrees. And just work it like that so that you get as many as you can out of that first working of your dough, because the next working of the dough, it makes them more dense. Okay, you want to keep your floured fingers floured really good, and you want to lay them on your pan, and you want to put them close together, touching the side of the pan. If you want them to spread out more than rise thicker, then put some distance between them. In other words, if you want them to spread out instead of rising, put about that much distance in, and I would just put 3 across there if that's what I was going to do. But I'm going to put 3 there. And these I'm going to have them touching, have the sides touching.
And you said having the sides touching will make them rise?
Rise. They make them rise higher, or either they'll spread out more if you don't have the sides touching.
Okay.
Okay. Now this dough here, you want to gather it up. Get all your little scraps there, and you want to work it like that. Try not, just so that you get it together. Try not to work it no more than you have to, because this will be more dense, of course, since we have been that first dough. And just pat it out. This you want to have, you won't want it an inch thick. You'll want it maybe, say, 3/4 or a half, because this is going to rise. And now I'm going to use my small cutter, and we're going to do some small biscuits. And I'm going to put them here on the side, which you don't have to, but that will put them right there, and that'll give them something to bake against. And put that right there. And this little bit of gibbles, I'm just going to work like that and put it right there. Okay, now you want to take some extra Crisco, which I have got on my saucer here, and you want to keep your fingers floured, and you want to take about that much and put you a little dab on the top of each one of your biscuits. That's the way I have always done it. Some people put a pat of butter on it, but the Crisco will make the tops of them get crispy, and yeah, they'll be better if you'll do that, even though it's adding that. And just put a little dibble on them too. Oh, come on. And I'm going to take a paper towel wherever my pan is, and wipe this grease off, because of course it's just going to bake and make your pan look, which the pan doesn't. Pan's really old. It's baked a lot of biscuits, and it's baked a lot of cookies. And now we're going to put them in the oven for 15 minutes, but check them in 12 minutes. Everybody's ovens are not the same, and just how dark or light you want them baked, it's just entirely up to you. But we're going to put them in the oven now, and that is for Frank, who I've been told is one of the best chefs in the world, and I feel honored that he has asked for my recipe.
And we'll be back in 12 minutes when Nanny's going to check them in the oven.
Okay, 12 minutes was the magic number this time. Normally, like I said, sometimes it takes 15, just depends. And you can take a stick of butter if you want to. Rub on the tops of them, which you don't have to, because the Crisco on it makes them crispy already. And just rub it on there like that. And I always take them off of the pan. Go ahead and take them apart, and I just do mine like this for a little bit. Just don't burn your fingers, so that the bottoms of them doesn't sweat, because they will sweat on the pan, and your bottoms won't be crispy. But if you roll them soft, just leave them on the pan. But I always do them like this. And this is your little second run ones. I call them second run ones, which they're okay too, but not like these big fat fluffy ones. Enjoy!
And you need to listen to her. Prosecutor Lisa Jones has the last word. making sure the jury leaves the courtroom with Nikki's voice echoing in their ears.